Welcome. Managed Comics Thought Stream for December 2nd, 2021. And I am, this is a busy day. I am so busy. We've been doing all of our testing and stuff, and really kind of getting things ready to go because we're going wide next week. So my idea today was to do a thought stream all about onboarding, so bringing new stores on and how you'll come on. And then my second half of it was going to be how do you onboard your customers. So I wrote a slide deck and I started kind of fairly simply, and I'm at like 31 slides, and still I was writing slides as this started. I'm not done yet. So it looks like, I think what we'll do is we'll just do like a fun kind of talk about how to onboard some customers. Just get my slides to where I want to be. So let's talk about these. But in the meantime, let's hear from you all. Who is here? Who's watching? I see we've got looks like about 9 people watching so far. So let's hear you. I can see Jeff from Comic Fever. Jeff, let's get you set up next week because, we've got an export now from Classic into 2.0, and you've had the thing for a while, so we'll get you set up and going. Black Dragon Adam, we talked yesterday, and we're going to get you set up. Michael Miller, I don't know if I can recognize the name, but I'm not for sure. Max from Shoebox, we were just talking to Max. I have a great little video that I will edit together. Just didn't have time to get a video edited, but Max and I talked about kind of his initial experiences. He gave me some really great little feedback that we'll definitely be incorporating. So Max, bad news, I don't have the video ready to go because things got crazy. Look at that. Yay! Michael Miller, Cosmic Capes Comics. Of course, I recognize that. You don't have to recognize it for some reason. So let's talk a little development update. We're going to talk onboarding your stores. I was going to do slides about onboarding your customers, but we'll just chat about it instead. We'll do some question and answers, and then we'll talk next time on Thought Stream. This is the second last Thought Stream of 2021, because we're going to take a couple weeks off at the end of the year. But let's get right into it. So the major refactor is go. We did all of our final testing. I found a few little bugs, and even today I just found another weird little bug. One of the interesting things that has been added to this is now we have kind of there's an interim step. So you do your polls, and then at that point you decide whether or not you want to push all your local pickups, all your shipped things to invoices. For local pickups, we'll actually recommend that you wait until a customer comes into the store and then you individually pull those over. Now that we have the Shopify, my mic sound is, wow. Yeah, my mic was way up high, so that you can barely even hear me. And now my mic is up my face. Thank you, Craig, for letting me know that my mic sound was a little bit strange. Wow. Okay, so we found a couple little bugs. One of the new features is that you do your, just slowly falling into my eye because it's not tight enough. It sounds a bit scratchy. Interesting. Well, let's take a look at what mic we're using. Roll up onto the side. Thanks, guys. Input is, oh my gosh. How's that now? Does it sound better? I think I'm gonna start this whole thing from scratch. Gonna be time to edit this down to. Okay. Well, let's start everything from the scratch, from the beginning. Welcome to the Managed Comics. Not better. Sounds like a webcam mic. Sorry, guys. Let's figure this out. Input is that. Am I silent now? I should be silent. Can you hear me at all? You can't hear me. Don't think you can hear me, right? That's better? That's bizarre. Are you hearing me now? Is this much better? We can hear you, can hear you. Can hear. That's ridiculous. So, okay, so it sounds like for some reason my fancy microphone's not working. So let's use this instead. All right, welcome to the Managed Comics Thought Stream. I'm going to restart everything from scratch. We've had some audio issues. So this is the reintroduction to the Managed Comics Thought Stream. So today we are going to talk about some things that we have updated for Managed Comics. We'll do our regular. We're going to talk about onboarding. We were going to talk a lot more about customer onboarding. I think we'll just do that kind of ad lib when we get to there. Your sound is coming from your headset mic. Isn't that wonderful? And we will do some questions and answers, and we'll talk next time on Thought Stream. So this is the second last Thought Stream of the year. We are going to take a couple weeks off at the end of the year and just focus on comics and making comics better. Quick development update. So we have wrapped up our final testing, found a couple of new bugs that will be fixed tonight, and then I'll retest it overnight. And we will roll it out tomorrow to the stores. One of the new features that we've added is this interim step, which is a customer order step, where at that point you choose whether somebody's monthly, biweekly, or weekly, and you create invoices for them there. If they're a local pickup, you'll use your point of sale button to get over to Manage Comics and to create an invoice for a local pickup at that time. So this streamlines that and doesn't have a whole bunch of draft orders sitting in your system. Also, it means when you create an order, it actually kind of does the proper things with inventory. So I think the way we're doing this is the inventory doesn't get reserved until the order is placed, and then we actually take inventory from Managed Comics and move it over into the order itself. So your shop goes into negative inventory, but then it resolves itself like within a second. So you won't see anything weird. We have wrapped up our Shopify 2.0 enhancements. And for this, we've also created an advanced setup tab in case of non-standard setup. So what I found was with 2.0, people put stuff in different places, which is really weird. So different themes seem to have things in non-standard places now. So yeah, we've created a way to kind of mitigate around that. What it does is you put in the path of where the files are. So obviously it's something that's going to require a little bit of advanced setup, and that's where we'll come in and help you out with that. What's next? So obviously we'll review the current work over the next couple of weeks and see how that's going. Make sure that we haven't introduced any new weird bugs, which I don't think we have. We have a couple small enhancements that we're going to add, mostly around like quality of life. So just things that kind of streamline things. Also, there will be a lot of focus on the data for the rest of the month. I'm going to really get in there and start modifying some of the variant data and stuff like that, and making that better. And also, I'm hoping that I can get the team to work a little bit on automating some of the data processes that I do right now manually, because they're really, 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 really boring. And as of December 17th, we're going to freeze our code, so we won't be adding new features as of December 17th. After that, our next big project that I'll work with the team on is enhanced initial order and FOC orders. Basically, want to bring in all the data, which we have. So we'll bring in all the data so that you'll be able to kind of make better decisions about stuff. Over time, as well as we get sales data, we'll be able to bring that sales data in here and tell you, what previous versions of previews sold as. And we're going to have to do some kind of roll up numbers as well, so that we know, variant covers aren't always one-to-one. Like, it's not always the B cover variant from Marvel is not always the Stanley Art Germ cover, right? So having a way for you to kind of look at that data and say, okay, here's what my overall numbers were on X-Men. Here's how many A covers, B covers, C covers I sold, etc. Going to be really important, but I think also a rolled number of just overall how many X-Men do I sell is really important too. So there's definitely going to be some fun involved in that. Also, we'll be saving all the order details in Manage Comics, and we want to make sure that you have a bunch of different sorting methods so that you can look at things just from a distributor, or just from a publisher, or just the comics that are coming out, etc. So let's talk how we get started with Manage Comics 2.0. So installing Manage Comics 2 is a relatively simple process, unless it isn't. So the most important thing that I got to say is, like, set aside 10 to 15 minutes for the first initial install. I've had a couple stores that have gotten into a state where they walked away during the initial install, and then we had to do like database work to make it so that they could reinstall, because they kind of got into a weird state. So yeah, if you can set aside 10 to 15 minutes, which means, probably don't do it during a busy time in the store. Do it when you can have some isolation time. In that very, very first bit, when you save, if you interrupt at some point, you can get into a state where Shopify basically kind of has session cookies that last about, I think, 30 minutes. If you start the installation process and that session cookie expires, you actually can't get back into the process. That's a Shopify problem, and not something we can really code for, unfortunately. So just keep that in mind. So this is kind of the first screen you're going to see. Yours will have a blue Manage Comics icon. This lets me know that I'm in the QA environment and not using the production one. The first thing you'll do is you'll agree to the monthly cost. So we have a 10-day free trial. And then this is just all the other information about it. We update the catalog for you. We do full integration with Shopify. We integrate it into your Shopify store with your colors, and we give you access to over 360,000 now products. You'll approve the subscription, which is where you click a little approve button. I think this screen looks a little bit different when you are a real store, because I don't think you have to choose payment method. I think it's just based on whatever your store's payment method is. And only certain members of your store can install this. So if you have multiple accounts, if you ask somebody else to do this, just make sure that their account actually has the ability to install a paid app. Then this is where the setup begins. And this is the part where, like, for the next 10 minutes, you need to be able to do this before the session expires, because I know this is where things kind of fall sideways. So this is where you're going to set up your button colors. You're going to decide which theme it's going to apply to. You can change the button text. So instead of subscribe to series, you could just say the word subscribe or whatever. What this is that as you start importing products in from Manage Comics, we install a Geek Fetch tag on every comic so that we know which series that's related to, and then every one of your products in your database in your store, starts to get, if it's a subscribable product, you'll get a subscribe to this series there. Next page. So this is after I've changed the background color and I've changed the hover color on that. And so you can see, you see a little preview in the upper left-hand corner there. And when you mouse over it, you'll see what the hover states are. So once you've saved this, Manage Comics actually adds a bunch of code to your theme. So one of the important things that we kind of forget about is if you don't have customer accounts required, Manage Comics won't work. So one of the things you need to do is click on your settings in your store, and then you go to checkout and you say accounts are required. Once you've enabled that, now the account system will work for Manage Comics. Without that, it doesn't necessarily work properly. Adding it to your navigation is pretty simple. We actually create a page for you. So all you have to do is click on navigation, and then you go to pages in whichever navigation. So in this case, I'm doing it on my main navigation. So I'll go to pages, and then I choose the item that's called subscriptions. And that page gets created. And now you just have a link in your navigation for subscriptions. You can call that whatever you want, by the way. You could call that, Bob's Your Uncle. Might be weird for a customer to find your subscriptions through Bob's Your Uncle, but I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. So next, going back into the Manage Comics app, if you click on the settings tab, you're going to see a bunch of different settings. So one of them is ISBN +5. So if your UPC reader supports it, so they support 13-digit ISBN numbers, definitely enable that. If it doesn't support 13-digit ISBN numbers, just so you know, there's a lot of data in our database that is already 13-digit. There's nothing we can really do about it. There's an 8-digit and then a 5-digit, 5-digit kind of like appendment. That, depending on who uploaded the data, may have all 13 digits. In some cases, it may only have the 8. Or is it 13 and 18? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, there you go. We also have a boilerplate terms of service. And what this is the first time somebody subscribes to a comic or pre-orders anything, they get this little thing that says, we pre-wrote this. And it's just basically kind of you're agreeing to buy something in the future. Items need to be paid for once a month. You can edit all this stuff into whatever you want. This is where you set your discounts and rates, discount rates and tags. So discounts are based on number of titles. That's just the way that we set it, and that's recurring titles. So if somebody has like 25 pre-orders, those don't count against the discount rate. You could also create like a different tiers of discount. So you could say 1 to 5 titles is no discount. 6 to 20 titles is a discount of 10% or 5% or whatever it is. You can set those tiered discounts up there. Tags are what we are going to save in Shopify for you, so that you can do different sorting. So there's different filter apps that you can install, which will let you maybe sort by writers or artists or cover artists, publisher, title, or genre. That's all up to you. The next setting is going to be for your for what type of shipping you offer. So if you only offer local pickup, then you'll only select local pickup. But if you choose, if you have like monthly shipping, biweekly or weekly, you make those available. Now, on the customer end, what we do is if you, let's say that you don't allow local pickup and you only allow monthly shipping, um, we basically look at in priority, and this is the priority, which things are available. So by default, we'll set it to local pickup. If you don't offer local pickup, then we'll do monthly shipping. If you don't offer monthly shipping, we do biweekly shipping. If you don't offer biweekly shipping, we do weekly shipping. And you have to have one of these selected. If you don't, then it throws an error and says you can't save it. So that is the shipping. Then there's a publishers tab. This is where you'd select which publishers you want to offer. If there's a publisher you can't carry for whatever reason, this is where you uncheck them. Product types. So this is where you go through and choose your product types. And this is also where we set tax rates for things that are exempt. So if you have the way Shopify works is that to exempt taxes on something, you have to create a manual collection for that product type. So in this case, graphic novels in Ontario are exempt from PST, but not from GST, which is our harmonized federal sales tax. So what I do is I click add to books, and then whenever I add a new product, it'll add it to that manual catalog. Or sorry, manual category, I should say. So like, let's say that I was in Saskatchewan and both books and comics are exempt from Saskatchewan PST. Then I'd create a manual collection called comics, and I would choose comics as one of my drop-down choices. And then I choose books as the other one because other provinces don't have exemption from PST. And I don't know how every municipality works in the United States, but I'm sure there's weird little rules like this. So as long as you know to create a manual category in Shopify, we find that category and can apply it to it. So then we come to adding your first customer. So this is where you actually have to create your customers in Shopify because all your customers are Shopify customers. Once they're created in Shopify, then we can see the customer. You can search for them and add them in Manage Comics, and then you can add subscriptions to their list. So example of adding subscriptions, I can go and search for Daredevil. Then I add the subscription here. I can either pre-order or subscribe to it. After I've added a subscription, I can actually change the start date. So if I want to start them earlier, I can actually go in here and change start date. If you want to import stuff from Manage Comics, the wrong way, importing from Manage Comics 1.0. So in Manage Comics 1.0, we've added an export in the upper right-hand corner of the customers. So when you click that, it creates a CSV file. Similarly, we've created a export for your customer list, which is when you go to pull lists, you'll see Manage Comics 2.0 export. So the first thing you have to do, I'm missing the slide for this. The first thing you have to do is actually import your customers into Shopify. And then once you've imported your customers into Shopify, then you go through and you'll import your subscriptions into Manage Comics 2.0. So what that does is it matches up all the customers matches up all your customers to their subscriptions based on email address. So if you already have a customer in Shopify, we'll ignore that. If you have a customer in Shopify without an email address, your customers all have an email address in Manage Comics. It's usually your store name, their first name, last name, your store name at managecomics.com. So just so you know, they will have an email address in Shopify, which you will probably want to go in and remove. This is the Q&A part. Actually, we can also talk about kind of let's talk about onboarding customers. So onboarding customers, what we would suggest is you're going to send them to your website and you're going to say, hey, we've already set up your account. If you've already set up your account, their account by migrating them from whatever other system you have. So once they're set up, you can actually send them an email with their information on how to log in. There is a setting in Shopify to send out emails, like introduction emails. So one of the things we do in Managed Comics is we add a tag to your customers that they're a Managed Comics customer. Let me see if I can pull this up. So you could actually send out an email based on that tag. I have to fill out the right store. Long box of comics store. So what I would do is send out an email to your customers just explaining how to use this feature. And so what I'll do is I'll create some pages on Managed Comics Help that will let you be able to send. Actually, I'll add them to the info Managed Comics page because they'll just look a little prettier. And then you'll be able to send that out to your customers. Wow. This is really annoying. I can't find. Sorry, guys. While I'm stumbling around here, anybody have any questions? Let me know that people are still here. I see that there's folks, but I have no idea whether anyone's hearing me or not. It's so funny. This is, I think, my 21st thought stream. And other than the first one where I had some sound issues, I haven't had sound issues in ages. So either I fat fingered something behind my setup and screwed up my mic, but I couldn't tell you what's wrong here. Customers. Okay. Let me pull this aside. I'm going to try and share this screen. Okay. Share. Oh, that's the worst. So Max, let me answer that question. So Max asked, would it be possible to add local delivery as an option along with shipping? Absolutely. So that's actually a setting you would set on Shopify, and then you just choose how often they're going to pick up. So if you have a local delivery option on Shopify, and they're scheduled for a weekly pickup, then you know to locally deliver for the weekly pickup based on their Shopify information. Good question, though. Great question. So I'm showing my screen here, and I know that Brian Garside is a Shopify dude. So I believe there is Managed Comics Active. So there's a Managed Comics tag on all your active customers. And if they're disabled, so you've banned them, there's a Managed Comics disabled tag. So you could actually send out an email to all your Managed Comics active customers, letting them know how to log into Managed Comics and how to manage their stuff. Max and I this morning were talking about kind of how things work with customers and onboarding new customers. And one of the things he mentioned is that explaining the FOC is kind of important, because final order cutoff is something people need to understand, especially in today's day and age where, stuff gets printed pretty much to order. So if people don't have an order in, by the time you do your final order, they're not going to be able to get those things. So yeah, for sure, explaining that as kind of part of your overall policy, I think, is really important. Um, do we have any other questions? Because I've got some things that we can talk about for next time. Anybody have anything they want to ask? No? It's a quiet crew today. It's a quiet Thursday. Maybe everybody else is having problems with their keyboards. All right. Let's chat about what we'll talk about next week. Gotta remove that. Bring something new in. This is really awkward. So they actually have the ability now for me to share a slide deck. So if I would have had my things together a little bit earlier, I would have had a slide deck up here, and then I could have just shared that slide. So next time we'll have our second last thought stream of 2021. Actually, no. Yes. Yeah, because the 16th will be the last one. Next week, we're going to talk with customers. So we'll be talking with some of our store owners. We'll also take your questions, and we're going to talk a little bit about the December 2021 catalog. We got a question. Look at this question. When did you say Managed Comics 2.0 will be released to the Shopify App Store? So as of Monday, we're going to be taking new stores on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send out an email to the waitlist, and I'll send it out. Actually, I'll probably send it out to the whole waitlist, telling people to book some time with me. What I've discovered is that if I just let people do this on their own, I would say 25% of the time it goes off without a hitch. 75% of the time there needs to be some sort of initial involvement in getting that set up. So like book a half an hour meeting with me. We'll go through it. That way you're dedicating 30 minutes to getting it set up. I did a couple installs this week that went off like super easy. I didn't even have to get involved at all. But that way you've actually got me if anything goes wrong during the time. So I can do 16 half-hour meetings a day. So I think that probably makes the most sense for now. We will also put out the URL if you think you can do it. I can probably send you just the URL and let you go through it. So that'll be Monday. Like I said, I have some testing to finish up tonight on the changes that guys will be approving, and then we'll go from there. I highly recommend that you book a meeting with me, and we'll just get it done. And if you want to book a meeting with me, it is managedcomics.com/meeting. And in the meantime, I'm gonna click a little button here, and I'm gonna say subscribe to this on YouTube. Look at that right there, touching it. Subscribe and hit the alerts, because not only do we post these once a week, but we also go through and we'll put up extra videos from time to time. There'll be help videos and stuff like that. Michael says, I'm already struggling to manage 5 Bolus customers. I need help. Yeah, we'll help you out. It'll be easy for you once you're using Managed Comics. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you all for your time. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but we will catch you next week. Thanks, everyone.